guys, this is Dan Seifer from mobileburn.com, and right now we're taking a look at the HTC Status for AT&T. The Status is the American version of the HTC Cha-Cha that was released for European markets a few weeks ago, and essentially it's kind of garnered the name of the Facebook phone because it's got some special Facebook features, including a special hardware button that you can see here, as well as some software that we'll look at in a few moments. But taking a look at the hardware of the device itself, you've got a 2.6-inch touchscreen up here, which is HVGA resolution, so it's 480 by 320 pixels of resolution. Then below that, you've got 4 capacitive buttons for home, menu, back, and search. You got a send key and end key there, and then you've got a nice hardware keyboard that you can see here with nicely spaced keys and such, and it includes a directional pad down at the bottom. Then at the very bottom you can see this Facebook button, which we'll take a look at a little bit later, but that's a special Facebook integration there. Elsewhere on the front of the phone you've got a VGA front-facing camera here, and then the earpiece as well. As you can see, as I turn the phone, it's got some unique features. One is the bend in the phone that you can see there. It's about 10.7 millimeters thick, but this little kink halfway down or so makes it feel takes up a little bit more room in your pocket than a 10 millimeter phone normally would, but it's really not obtrusive, and it makes it easy to hold in your hand. On this side of the phone you've got the volume key rocker here for up and down on the volume, and then you've got your micro USB charging and syncing port. Looking at the bottom of the phone, there isn't too much, just a microphone port there. The other side of the phone you can see nothing, but you do get a good look at the other unique part of the construction of this phone is the almost unibody aluminum frame here that kind of wraps around the phone and gives it a nice solid feel. It's not fully unibody, but you can see the aluminum components in there for sure. And then at the top of the phone you've got a noise cancelling microphone in the middle, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and your power sleep unlock key there. Looking at the back of the device, we've got the aluminum band that goes across the middle there. Then you've got the speaker, 5 megapixel autofocus camera with a flash that does not take HD video. The max video that you're going to be able to record on this is 480p. You've got another noise cancelling microphone there, and then this is your battery cover here. If we pop open this battery cover, which HTC's made notoriously difficult lately, you can see the battery there. And then it's a 1250 milliamp hour battery. The HTC says you should get about 6.5 hours of talk time on it, or almost 17 days of standby. And in my testing, it was able to get most of that 7 hours of battery life before tapping out. Not the best battery in the market, but enough for to get about 6.5 or 7 hours through the day. Then you've got your SIM card there, and over here is a 2 gigabyte micro SD card that comes pre-installed. Taking a look at the software found on the HTC Status, what we have here is actually Android 2.3 Gingerbread, and it's got HTC's Sense UI custom interface on top of it. This is running Sense 2.1 with messaging, they're calling it. It's a little bit different than the other versions of Sense that we've seen, but it does borrow a lot of the features that we saw on the Sense 3.0 devices, like the Sensation 4G or the Evo 3D. But there you can see it says HTC Sense 2.1 for Messenger. So it's got some unique features for it, and we'll take a look at those. But for starters, you've got your standard 7 home pages that you can page through. But what's different with the Status is, you notice they don't start in the middle. It starts all the way at the end at the far left is where your main home screen is, much like on the HTC Flyer. But you can't circle all the way back around. You can only go one direction and then back. It does not loop back around, unfortunately. As you can see here, you've got some special widgets. This is a Facebook widget. It's our first glimpse at the Facebook integration that we're seeing on the Status, and you can see it's got updates itself with various updates from your Facebook contacts and such. If we go a couple pages over, we've got the Friend Stream widget, and that you can populate with your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed. And you can scroll through and view posts and such. Then over here we've got this new Facebook chat widget, which allows you to set your online status. So you can turn your online status on and off, and then you can see who is online and be able to initiate messages with them. from your friends list. Then you've got another blank page here that you could add another widget to. Very similar widgets that we've seen before. It's got a similar interface to the later versions of Sense that we've seen, but you can add the things like the popular weather widgets and such from HTC. There you go. And then of course you can tap and hold, and with the newest versions of Sense you can see you can go over here and edit it if it's available to be edited, or you can just go ahead and trash it. Now, some things that are different with this version of Sense, if you scroll down the notification bar, it just gives you the notifications. It doesn't give you the options to toggle things on and off like we saw on the Evo 3D or the Sensation 4G. If we hit this grid over here, we can pull up all of our apps that we have installed, which you can view by all apps, frequently used applications, or apps that you might have downloaded or added to the device itself. Now, the Status is powered by an 800 MHz Qualcomm processor, and as you can see, it's quite fast. There's not a whole lot of lag here. We find it to be very, very quick in use, and there was no point where we were waiting an inordinate amount of time for the phone to catch up with itself. It still supports funky UI things like this, so you can pinch to zoom your home screens to get a helicopter view of them, and that works very well. As you can see, it's very smooth and fast. Pretty much follows my finger almost exactly. Of course, on a small screen like this, it does make it a little bit more difficult to perform those gesture actions, and it also, as you can see, the text is very small on the screen as well. Taking a look at the browser does support Flash. As you can see, we've got our mobileburn page loaded up here, and you can see that without zooming in, text is virtually unreadable, but you can double tap to zoom and get a closer look at things, and of course you can pinch to zoom as well. So the browser is fairly fast and responsive. One thing that is a problem, though, as we've seen with other HTC devices recently, is embedded Flash videos don't play for some reason. It just always gives us an error, but as you can see, it does support Flash. It's got some Flash ads that are showing up there. Now, you can open up multiple tabs with the browser that they call windows, and you can add another one quickly and easily. And then you can switch between them through the windows there. Now, as you can see, the screen layout is in what would be a normal landscape mode for most Android phones, as they tend to have a taller screen. So that does present some issues when you run certain applications that aren't designed for landscape. For instance, if we pull up the speed test application, what's going to happen is it's going to show horizontally because the speed test app does not support any landscape views, so it just shows the portrait view turned on its side. We noticed this a few times with a number of apps, and it is kind of a funky thing, and it makes some apps fairly unusable, though of course you could turn the phone on its side to view the app specifically. Now, as you can see here, I only have a handful of apps installed. The Status comes with 512 megabytes of RAM, which is certainly acceptable for a device of this type, but it only has 512 megabytes of ROM, or built-in storage for the user, and most of that is taken up by the Android 2.3 Gingerbread and the HTC Sense system, leaving the user only 150 megabytes of space left, which you can quickly and easily fill up with applications. And during my testing of this, I ran into a number of issues where it would constantly say that I was out of memory. If you look here, I've really only added one application that didn't come stock, and that's a speed test application. The rest of these are updates to applications that are already on the phone itself, and you can see I've used up 63 megabytes of the memory available to me. So we really run out of memory very quickly on this. You can move, of course, apps to the SD card. It's got a 2 gigabyte SD card preloaded, but you can't do that with all applications, and you certainly can't do it with any applications that are pre-installed on the phone. So it's very easy to run out of application space. It's really kind of an oversight that HTC did with the Status, and I think it's going to be a big issue for a lot of users. Taking a look at the messaging application, you can see here it's the same messaging application that we saw on the other HTC Sense devices of recent time. You've got these kind of threaded message view with this nice animated or nicely designed messaging here. The lock screen is very familiar as well. You've got the shortcut applications, which we always like to see, that you can easily open applications directly from the lock screen by dragging into the circle, or if you bring the circle up, you can unlock the screen itself. The Status does not have the support for the live lock screens that we saw on the Evo 3D or the Sensation 4G, simply probably because it just does not have the processing power or the screen real estate to make that work well. But as you can see here, the shortcut application works well, so you can pop right into the messaging application or one of the others there, and you can of course customize the 4 of those as well. Now the unique thing about this of course is the Facebook button right here, and it performs a number of functions. For instance, if we were to press it once, it will allow us to post an immediate update to our wall, so we can say things like so, and immediately post it. There's a couple other functions as well. If I press and hold on the button, it opens up the Facebook Places interface, and then we can check into a place right there, or we can search for a place to check into. If you are browsing a website, so let's go back to our website over here, you'll notice that the button is now glowing, this pulsing glow. So we can quickly share the button onto Facebook by just pushing that button and adding a comment if you like, or just hitting post right there, and it will be immediately posted to the Facebook wall. The other point that you could use is if you take a picture. So if we take a picture with the camera, you'll notice that the button is glowing once again. So if we go back to view that photo, and we've got our glowing button here, we press that, and it instantly puts it into a format that we can upload directly to Facebook. So using this button here is pretty cool. You can easily post updates with it. It gives you a lot of options to do the things that you mainly would do with Facebook. So it is pretty neat. I think Facebook lovers will certainly find use for that button without much trouble. The camera itself is a 5 megapixel unit. It does have autofocus, so you can tap to focus like so, and it has a flash as well. So there you can see the flash there, and it has a front-facing VGA camera. Let's try that again. There we go. So you can do video chatting with it as well. The only disappointment really with the camera is the video does not record in HD. It only records 480p video. Otherwise the camera works pretty well. It's pretty fast. In my tests the pictures came out fairly good, and the flash tended to expose properly as opposed to overexposing like we normally would see. HTC Sense usually gives you a number of options as far as the effects go, which you do have some effects here, but you don't have as many as we've seen with other HTC phones with Sense 3.0, but you do have some effects that you can do right away there, and of course you can zoom in with the camera as well. HTC has also included its mail application here, which is one of the best mail applications that we've seen on Android phones from a third-party manufacturer. It offers a lot of nice features. It works very well, gives you formatted text options, you can pinch to zoom, just a really great email experience, one of the best ones that we've seen on an Android device for sure. And of course you also have the Gmail application available to you as well. While we're in our application tray, we can take a look at what AT&T has added, and thankfully they haven't added too much. You've got some shortcuts here that you can download some AT&T applications, like the AT&T Code Scanner, Family, or Navigator there. Then you've got the link to an AT&T Live TV app, My AT&T to manage your account, and that's about it. And then there's also the Wi-Fi hotspot app and the Yellow Pages app that you can download if you like. The rest of these applications are from HTC, and unfortunately you can't remove them, so you can't free up any more application space by removing these applications. So there you have it. That's the HTC Status for AT&T. It's a great little phone for messaging, certainly. Messaging fanatics will love it. It does have some very cool Facebook features, as you can see, with the button and the various Facebook widgets and applications that are pre-installed. The keyboard is great. It really feels nice to type on, gives you lots of room, so it's easy to bang out messages quickly. The screen itself is very small, though. It's only 2.6 inches, and we found it to be quite an issue when we were trying to browse websites or do anything that was reading intensively on the screen. And because of its landscape orientation, certain apps do have funky layout and display issues. The other issue that we have with it is there's not enough internal memory on it. So if you do like to use a lot of applications, or if you like to play games such as Angry Birds or something like that, you're going to run out of space very quickly. And then you're going to constantly have to delete or move apps around. So that is going to be a major inconvenience. Otherwise, it is fast, for sure. 800 megahertz processor definitely gives us a lot of performance, and there was no complaints on that end. You can pick one of these up from AT&T now. It costs about $50 on contract. Or it's about $400 for a full retail version. So there you have it. It's the HTC Status for AT&T. This is Dan Seifert from mobileburn.com. Thanks, guys.